G'day guys, and welcome back to the channel, and of course Happy New Year. Hopefully you all had a good break. As you can see, I've been busy on the MU and a few things have changed, so we will be going for a wheel today, but before we get stuck in, I'm going to run you through all the bits and pieces that we've done, because yeah, there's a fair bit going on, maybe even a sneaky front locker hidden away. But before we hook in, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to you guys for the support over the last year. All the little comments and messages I get really motivates me, and plus to have a cool little community like this of like-minded people. Yeah, you know, I'm just glad you guys are enjoying the videos and stuff. Obviously it's been a couple months since the last vid. Life got pretty busy with cars and work, and yeah, there's a lot of other exciting things happening behind the screen. We're on track to buy our first house, hopefully pretty soon, depending on how big of a shed we can find, and maybe a bit of grass for a dog or something. I know someone who's been asking for a golden retriever for a little while, so might have to please her as well. But yeah, also both my older sister and Chantel's older sister just had babies, so two very cute little additions to life lately. And yeah, some good times ahead. So anyway, I reckon we'll roll it back a couple months now and catch up to speed on what we've been up to. So let's take a look. So I actually didn't even have the car for the first couple of weeks. It ended up at the mechanics getting some love, which started with the front locker. I got it on sale a while ago, and seeing as everything had to come out anyway, we decided to give the whole sort of front end a bit of a spruce up. I was already having some trouble with the automatic hubs, not disengaging properly is what it sort of felt like. So they had to go. Plus we threw in some new wheel bearings all around, and then with everything going back together, the locker and whatnot, they suggested to put in these things from Mungie. They're called quick release CV brackets or mounts or something. Now, anyone who's changed a CV in an Isuzu or Rodeo would know that it is an absolute shit job and pretty involved. So by adding these brackets, it makes it a pretty easy trackside repair and sort of future-proofs the setup a little bit more. But yeah, that's it for underneath. So really glad I had it done by the professionals, because by the sound of things, it wasn't a lot of fun, but they've done a killer job. So I actually haven't tested any of this out yet, and we're about to find out just how good of a job they did, or may not have. Nah, they're a good bunch of blokes there. Then the next thing I did was finish off the bar work. We began with a freshen up of the bullbar. So I started to draw and eventually landed on a shape that I liked. I am going to make one from scratch in the future, but I'd like to fix this one up first and set it up for a winch, plus eventually sell it, which will help fund the next one. I'm just going to speed through this process, but if you want a few details and tips on how I do this stuff, you can check out the last video, which was building the rear bar. I basically cut the bottom section off, which then gave access to the winch area, so I could build a cradle and kind of know what my clearance was like. I used 6mm steel for the base and replaced all the mounting hardware as I went with new high tensile ones. With the winch mounted inside, I could then mock up the surrounding panels and tack the new 3mm sheets in place. After fully welding everything and a lot of grinding, what the hell is he doing? The bar was coming together, so then I kept pulling it apart, removing the hoops to fix some rust and give me a nice clean bumper to work with. I was going to bend the hoops myself, but the die literally died on me, so I ran with some trusty 90s instead, which probably turned out better anyway. With a quick sand and some paint, the bar was done and I could fit my accessories. Thankfully, this design allows me to fully wire up the winch without the bar in place, so then all I have to do is slip the bar on, feed the rope through and plug in the new light bar. Whoa, light bar! This one is just a King's 12-inch, nice and cheap, and for a small unit, it actually goes alright. In between sparks, we tensioned up the winch, and because we're coming into summer, I had the windows tinted as well, then got stuck into the rock sliders. I used some thick 40mm tube and box section, then ordered some mounting plates from Rag Customs, which made these heaps easier to do. Basically, you weld one plate to the chassis, which has pre-tapped holes, and the other plate bolts to that, and then you weld the sliders onto that. So super easy, nice and strong. Typically you'd use like a U-clamp style mount, but I just don't have a lot of space under there. I will say though, if you are welding on your chassis, have a look at the proper techniques for doing so, because outside of whether or not your application is legal, it needs to be safe. You know, you don't want to ruin the structural integrity of your car. And now the bar work is done, I can paint the doors. Again, I will be doing the whole car one day, but the body needs a lot of work, so I'll save that job for my boy Ron. Just like anything, before you paint it, give it a good clean, sand it back, then lay on some primer. I'm just using color spec cans from Super Cheap, which is also super easy. And after letting that dry, I put on a few coats of base and finished off with some clear. Personally, I reckon that's pretty good for a railgun job. I only did 2 coats of clear coat, which is why it's probably not as shiny as I would have liked. I might even go over it again, but I'm pretty happy with that for now. At least it's blue and not white. Like, I'm just happy to have it all one color. But anyway, I think it's time we go for a wheel and actually put this thing to use, because I've been waiting to get out and actually use it after getting all these little bits and pieces together. So let's do it. Last episode we did put the new wheels on, the 33s, which I have gone and taken for a little bit of a test drive just to see that they cleared the guards and stuff. But when I was off-road, getting through ruts, it made a huge difference. Like, obviously, going from 29s, it was a crazy difference. But that, paired with the front locker, oh boy am I stiff. And I'm obviously talking about my back from doing all that hard work. Get your mind out of the gutter. One thing I will have to remember to do though now is to engage these, which I'm doing right now for the very first time, maybe. There you go. So obviously we've got the manual locking hubs, not the auto ones anymore. Huge upgrade. We like it. Even just doing that little bit there, like, I felt the front wheel just come off the ground, but it didn't like want to stop or anything. I mean, it's not a big wheel lift, it's only idling, but yeah. And then the steering as well does feel a little bit heavier, only slightly noticeable. Not too bad yet, but I haven't really tried turning any corners. Jumper's off now. It's getting serious. Let's go find something a bit harder. Yeah, that looks better. So for those who don't know, this is an auto locker. So there's no switch, no air, no power, just a combination of little plates or gears that engage with the axles and automatically unlock when you need to turn, provided they aren't under load. I chose this one for a couple of reasons. They are a third of the cost of other types, Aussie made, less moving parts, which makes them really reliable. And because I do want to sass this one day, I didn't want to spend too much on the front. So this was my best option with my budget. That felt absolutely sick. The ability to just crawl that kind of stuff now is absolutely game changing. I'm gonna say it, it's game changing for me anyway. The downside, some say they're a bit clunky, can be harder to steer, and you can't disengage it with the press of a button. But with the manual hubs and some patience, it's really not a big deal. This little thing, oh god, it's so good. That's great. unbelievable. Even like the rear wheel was tucked so hard. I don't know if you can see that, but oh, this thing's gonna get me into some trouble. I might be getting a little bit carried away here, but I want to try and pick the hardest lines I can. Obviously without putting it on its ass, but the usual line is to hug that tree and stay up there. I reckon if I get right up on this bank and just cut between those two, and yeah, I don't know, we'll just see how that goes. I'm loving this. This thing is fucking insane. I got 16 PSI in the tyres, a can-do attitude with the front locker. Honestly unstoppable. So far, I haven't actually heard it bang when it's like unlocking, so I don't know if that means that it's definitely unlocking. Like looking at that, I'll try to turn a few sharp corners and see. Holy shit! Shots fired! Literally not making a sound. So once again, I'm glad I had this done by the professionals, because I probably would have stuffed that up. And I literally cannot even hear it engaging. 1 minute your two wheels, like one wheel up in the air, next minute turn the corner, you wouldn't even know the difference. And I go into 4 or 2 high now, everything's back to normal again. Steering's back to normal, like, yeah. This is the dream. This is absolutely the dream, ladies and gentlemen. Righto, we've come to a spot now where when we first came out and it was stock, I had a lot of trouble here. The reason being is because you kind of have to get in the ruts, whether you start up there or wherever. At that point up there, you sort of have to be in the ruts. And I just didn't have the clearance, not through any of this. And I literally didn't get past this point here, which is, yeah, I think I still got the clip. I'll chuck it in there. But yeah, there's a cool little step up here, and then further along, there's another little bit that we've done before. But for now, I'm just going to show you the difference that this makes with the bigger wheels. Obviously it's locked now, but I think it's going to drive it pretty easily. That absolutely smashed it. I know I got a good wheel lift up the end there, but again, just continues to impress. Still a little bit of scraping and stuff going on underneath, but not enough to stop us, and certainly nothing to be concerned about anymore. I do need to make a good proper set of bash plates though, which we'll get to eventually. It's probably one of the priorities, but yeah, loving it. Well, I'm absolutely stoked with how well this thing drives now. Super keen to take it on some more trips too, now that it's more set up. Got a bit more to do on the inside just to make it more comfortable, but that'll just tick over the next few months. Of course, we are saving for that house, so can't be blowing the budget too hard. But yeah, keep an eye out for next video, because we're back in the high country, and this time nothing goes wrong. It is probably one of the best high country trips I've had, with a familiar face who you would have seen on the channel a little while ago. But all will be revealed in a couple of weeks when I put that one out. So as usual, thanks again for watching, guys, and yeah, more to come. Peace.